Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Conversation Collage, coming to you on your favorite podcast platform. Ken Joannesen here, coming to you from Wenatchee, Washington, the apple capital of the world and the buckle of the power belt of the great Northwest, where it is quiet. It seems like every day is Sunday afternoon. You can almost roll a bowling ball down Main Street and not hit anything. It's just strange in this new world we're in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're virus free, and now we've got a good show for you. We're going to talk with actor Michael O'Neill, who has done a lot of things. He's been in a lot of movies and TV shows, and he has a new role to his credit that you're going to see in 2 episodes coming up on this Thursday, April 30th on NBC, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Before we get to Michael O'Neill, I have a little slice of life story for you. This morning, before I started recording this episode, I had taken a shower and I was shaving. And out of the corner of my eye, as I was shaving, I was looking toward my bathroom window, and there was this pretty good-sized housefly kind of bouncing around the inside of my window. And now I don't like houseflies. I don't know of anybody who does. And I just don't really care to have them around. And I recognize their importance to the ecosystem and the food chain and all that stuff. And I'm lying. I don't know what the hell they do. All I know is they buzz around and bother people. And I didn't want it buzzing around and bothering me. So I said, I will get rid of this housefly, but I will do it in a nice way. I don't want to kill it. I just want to set it free. So I opened the window a little bit and tried to kind of shoo the housefly out. Okay, just kind of not hit it, but kind of wave it to the point where it will just fly out the window. And it took about 4 or 5 tries. This housefly was stubborn. But finally it starts bouncing once, twice, 3 times. And finally I managed to wave it, and it goes out of the window and straight into the remnants of a spider's web that is outside my window. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to go around and go free and buzz around and bother somebody else, right? Well, now it's flailing for its life in this spider's web. And I said, oh, man. Okay, so I tried to get the spider, bring the spider's web kind of loose so it can kind of fly around with maybe a little thing of a remnant of the web and still. And then what it did was it just kind of moved off to the side as I did that, and I couldn't see it anymore. And I shut the window. Yeah. Too bad, housefly. Now I feel almost like I'm a murderer, but maybe the ghost of Vincent Price is going to bother me now. But anyway, survival of the fittest, right? Believe me, I'm sure I will be hounded by that fly's descendants for years to come. Anyway, Michael O'Neill, renowned actor. He has been in a number of things to his credit, tons of movies and TV shows over the last number of years. I remember him best, and you might remember him best, as Special Agent Ron Butterfield on The West Wing, where he was the head of Jed Bartlett's Secret Service detail. Well, we talked about that, and we talked about acting. We talked about other things. We talked about his role in the new drama series on NBC, Council of Dads. And we caught up with Michael O'Neill recently. Michael O'Neill, it is a pleasure to have you on. Where are you, sir?
I'm in Birmingham, Alabama.
You're at home.
Yes, we're at home. I have all my kids and my wife under one roof, so I can keep an eye on them. And it's probably... Yeah, I think I'm glad they're here. I'm not so sure they're glad they're here.
Right. Tell me, because you're on that end of the business here, has all of Hollywood pretty much shut down with all of this? Is all film, TV production at a halt right now?
It is. It's had to. I mean, it's very, the nature of what we do is intimate. It's close. We work in very close quarters, so you can't take a chance on putting a crew or a cast or both together. It would be way, way too difficult. So we were fortunate that we finished our season at the very end of February, 1st of March, before everything broke. But I know of a lot of productions that just, had to shutter. They just had to close the doors and lock things up and send people home. So yes.
Right. So everything's taken care of, but you're one of the fortunate ones. Your whole season is done. Is there a now? Is Council of Dads on what we call hiatus right now? Is there a promise of an order for next season?
The promise is a wonderful word, and there's not. I mean, they always wait and take a look at the metrics and what the numbers look like and the demographics and all those things that are way, way, way above my pay grade. Mm-hmm. And then they make a determination as to whether or not. But in my heart of hearts, Ken, I feel like we have so much more story to tell if all goes well, and I trust that it will, then we'll have an opportunity to continue with this, mm-hmm. and that'll be a good thing.
Before we get into talking about Michael O'Neill here, let's talk about Council of Dads. What's that all about for those who are uninitiated?
Well, it's based on a book, and the theme of it really, Ken, is that if something came and threatened your life, for most of us, our first thought would be, will my children be okay? I'm not going to be there for them. And it's a gripping moment that happens to people. And that's the premise of our story. A young father is facing a dreaded cancer diagnosis and pulls together his three best friends after about a year of treatment and says, if I don't make it, mentor my children. And there are five of them, and it's a wonderful, eclectic, functional, crazy, delicious family. And so the three dads from different walks of his life come together to make sure that those kids are going to be okay.
Great. Tell me about Larry Mills. Tell me about him. Who is he? Larry, I really do. I have to say, I've been waiting on this role for a long time.
Larry's he's older, obviously. I'm in my late 60s, and so is he. And he's capable, Ken. He's a guy who can work on his own truck, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's made a career of repairing failing businesses and seeing how to make something work that hasn't been working very well. He's handy. If it needs fixing, Larry knows how to fix it. Now, having said that, he's also kind of beat up. He's made some pretty difficult mistakes in his life, and it's knocked a couple of holes in him. So this opportunity to be a dad and look after someone else's family is kind of a gift, really. I'm not sure who needs who worse or whom worse. Mm-hmm. He's a recovering alcoholic and lost his first family to alcohol, and so the opportunity to be involved in a second family, I think Scott knew what he was doing when he asked him, to be on his Council of Dads. Mm-hmm. And Larry shows up. He's just trying to do the next right thing in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Right. He sounds like a person who wants to get it right this time.
Exactly. And not knowing if he has the skill set to do it. And therein lies his dilemma.
Does the word insecurity come into this somewhere?
Well, if it does, he blusters his way through it pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think the insecurity for Larry comes in wanting to make repair with his original family. Mm. When something opens your heart and you have an opportunity to be involved, then a lot of your life comes back up. Uh-huh. And I think that he feels very strongly that he would like to make contact and make amends to his original family. And that's a difficult journey sometimes.
Sure. Mm-hmm. It's the second episode of Council of Dads that will be on the National Broadcasting Company on April 30th. Is there anything you can tell me? Is there anything for those who might have missed episode 1? Is there something that needs to be set up for episode 2?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Ken, because a really nice thing has happened. NBC has decided to re-air the pilot at 8 p.m.
Oh.
They consider that first a bit of a preview, and so they'll re-air the pilot at 8, and then we'll follow with the second episode at 9.
Oh, great.
So people will have an opportunity to experience it for themselves. Okay. But I just read a wonderful sort of criticism or critique. A critic who had been, if not overwhelmed by the pilot, left him with a lot of questions. And his comments about episode 2 was that it really delivered. it answered the questions that he had in his viewing of the pilot. So I'm thrilled that we're going to have an opportunity to bring both those episodes into play on the 30th.
Okay, good deal. Well, and who wrote? Excuse me, who wrote the review? Or where did it come from? Can you tell me?
You know what? My wife read it to me. So as far as I'm concerned, my wife wrote it and read it.
I was just curious whether it came from Variety or not, because I'm a student of old varieties, and I used to love reading their reviews of shows. So.
Yes, yeah, they're cogent. There's a wonderful writer too for the LA Times, Mary McNamara. Now I doubt Mary will be reviewing our specific show because she has a little bit of a conflict. But there are some excellent reviewers out there, and I like you enjoy, and I love the old Variety. You know, when I was a young actor and there was no internet and there was no, you would run. You know, every day that it came out, you would run to the newsstand to grab a copy of it to see what was happening in our world. Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because my mentor, when I first started in the theater, it was a character actor named Will Gear, like the grandfather on the wall. And his daughter Ellen really took me under her wing to teach me, because she could look at me and knew I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But Will had done Doc Bart's Riverboat Show and Chautauqua tours and silent films and different repertory companies around the country, and then talkies. So they called it talkies, and then television. So he was kind of encyclopedic when it came to the history of entertainment in this country and the theater. So I'm sure he would be a good cross-reference to that, to those varieties.
Right. You mentioned a phrase in there when speaking about Will Gear, character actor. Is that a good way to describe you?
Oh, I hope so, Ken. I'd be honored to fall in that frame.
Is that a phrase that, I mean, I wonder if some actors get offended by that, because every actor or actress who does this stuff plays a character, and character actor seems, I mean, but you never call Tom Hanks a character actor, or Tom Cruise, or, you know, some of those big guys. You never call them character actors, even though they are.
Well, truly they are, and if you look at some of the roles, particularly the roles that Tom Hanks has created, and Mr. Cruise as well, they are characters. They are off of their own persona and onto another life, and so they also qualify as leading men, and I think that's the big distinction. You know, is that for those of us who are in support of our leading character, either leading men or leading women. I mean, I've always thought that my job was to lift some of the weight off of them. You know, your history of movies, we used to have an A story and a B story,
right?
And the character actor sort of carried the B story. Well, now with the formula that Hollywood has, there's just the A story. Yeah. And so those leading men and women have to carry that project from, you know, the bow of the ship all the way to the stern. And so I've always felt like my job was to help sort of lift some of the weight on that journey. And I like that. I like that role.
I've looked at your resume on Wikipedia. If you want to, I know Wikipedia can get a few things wrong, but I don't know if you've checked it. I'm guessing I'm taking all this as gospel that it is correct. But I'm looking through the filmography and the television and all of this, and I'm seeing a 40, almost dare I say this, a 40-year arc of steady work. But, you know, I'm looking at television, you know, 2 episodes. You go from show to show to show, 2 episodes here, 15, 4 episodes, 2 episodes, and 6 episodes. And one question stands out. Can't you keep a job?
You know, my family would really like to know the answer to that question. You know, it's the nature of what we do. I've always said in the modern context, we're migrant workers.
Sure.
And we move, you know, we move from field to field to field, and I've always sort of likened acting to farming. I have farmers in my background, and I say, you know, you